Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to talk to you guys about my diving season so far this year, because quite honestly, it's just been one of the most surreal experiences ever. I want to take you back to the Rio Olympics last year, where I was really happy to come away with a bronze medal with Dan in the synchro event, but then completely and utterly destroyed and devastated about not making the final for the individual event. And I remember being truly at my lowest point in my diving career, upset that I wasn't able to realize my dream and what I knew that I could have been able to do and all that kind of stuff. It was truly heartbreaking, and it took me a long time to get over it. So I took quite a lot of time off and got to spend lots of time in Lance and just to chill out and try and take my mind off it completely, ready to start the season again in January. So in January I came back with the expectation that I was just going to be doing mixed synchro with Grace on the 3-meter springboard and with Tonya on the 10-meter. And that was all that I expected to do. So going into national championships, that's all I did. The week after, I got a call saying that there might be an opportunity for me to dive in the World Series in the individual event. So then all of a sudden, I thought, why not? Maybe I'll try and do some of my dives on 10 meters, see how they are and make a decision from there. And I remember doing my dives and my coach Jane saying to me, Tom, you're not ready. We decided we were going to just do mixed synchro. Let's just leave it at that and we'll just build it in gradually throughout the year. But me being as stubborn as I am, said, no, I really, really, really want to be able to dive in the individual event at the World Series. So I did. But before I went away, Jane, my coach, called me in a frantic panic because she had snapped her Achilles. And from then, I didn't really know what I was going to do, because that all of a sudden meant that I didn't have a coach to go away with me. So I had to have a different coach come away with me on all the World Series, and it was a little bit stressful, and I had to compete for the first time since the Olympics, and obviously I wanted to do really well, and that took me to my first World Series in Beijing. In Beijing, myself and Dan were doing the synchro event, and it was the first time that we had done synchro since the Olympic Games was actually in the competition in Beijing, because Dan had had an injured tricep. It didn't quite go to plan, and then I was starting to think, maybe I should have just stuck to mixed synchro. Maybe I shouldn't be pushing myself to get back up there and do it as soon as I did. But then the individual event came around, and I really wanted to do the best that I could to show that I was still one of the best divers in the world. And I managed to come away with a bronze medal. The next World Series that we went on to was in Guangzhou immediately after Beijing, and the same thing again. I kind of went into that competition with a, you know what, I'm just going to give it everything, and like, who cares? I'm just going to enjoy it and give it the best shot that I can. And that competition, I managed to do the best twister that I've ever done in competition in my life. Went over 100 points on my twisting dive and on my front 4.5. And came away with a silver medal. So I was over the moon. I then came home and had a little bit more training at home before then leaving for the next World Series, which was in Kazan, Russia. And I became the first British person to win a medal in the men's 10 meter synchro and the mixed 3-meter synchro, all at the same competition. So I was really chuffed with the way that that competition worked. And then it was time to move straight on to Windsor in Canada. The Canadian World Series was always one of my favorites because the atmosphere is electric, everybody's really up for a great time and cheering on all of the athletes. And I remember going into that competition, it was the last World Series, and I wanted to make sure that I could do the best that I could. And I was so chuffed because I managed to come away with another bronze medal, and that made it the most successful World Series season that I've had in my career. And going from not sure if I was actually going to do it at all to competing in all 4 legs, I was pretty chuffed with the way that turned out. This whole year, I was making sure that I wasn't just taking it completely as seriously as it was last year and making it the only thing that I think about every single day, every single moment. So I got married. And there's something about married life that just changes the way that you think, the way that you feel, how secure you are, how just everyday life just seems to be a whole lot better. And it was nice to have him home and be here and be with me while I was training, and my training got better and better. But just before the wedding, I had some injections in my hips and in my back, a total of 12 injections, facet joint injections, cortisone injections. It was a little bit of a setback, and that put me out of diving for about 10 days before I could then slowly build back up onto 10 meter. But when I got back up onto 10 meter, after all the tests that I had done, I increased my range of my back by 50%, and for the first time, I've been diving pain-free in a very long time. And then it was time for the World Championships, the last competition of the season, the last competition before I got to go on my honeymoon with my amazing husband. The whole competition seems like a complete whirlwind now, but I remember waking up on the morning of my individual final, and I also had the mixed 3 meter synchro competition with Grace that same day. And I remember waking up and speaking to Grace and thinking, you know what, mixed synchro isn't our main event, the individual events are, because they're the Olympic events. And I just said to her, look, we need to have fun, we need to enjoy it. And the whole time we just decided to sing and dance in the shower. And because we were having such a great time in the shower, dancing, having fun, it showed in our diving, and we managed to secure the silver medal at the World Championships, which is crazy because I'm not a springboard diver, and I got a silver at the World Championships, so we were buzzing. Immediately after that, I had to calm down the adrenaline and move on to the individual 10 meter final. In the prelim rounds, I qualified in 3rd place. In the semi-finals, I qualified in 2nd place, and going into the final, I was following the Chinese diver, the Olympic champion. So there was a lot of pressure on my shoulders. The exciting thing was, myself and Chen Ai-sen were going dive for dive, and he was scoring like 9s and 10s, and I was scoring 9s and 10s, and it was just this battle that all the way to the end. And I remember going into the very, very last round, standing on the end of the board after watching his scores up, saying 9.5, 10, 10, 9.5, 10, and thinking, he thinks he's got that. I remember seeing him on the big screen, like cheering and celebrating, his whole team celebrating as if he'd won the World Championships. And I remember thinking, are you playing that game? Because if you're going to play that game, I'm here to play too. So I remember walking to the end, thinking about the process of the dive, what I needed to do to make that the dive that was going to win the competition. Swinging my arms fast, jumping as fast as I can, legs straight, toes pointed, and just giving it everything that I had. I remember coming out of the water, hearing the enormous cheer, and then just waiting and waiting and waiting to see if I had scored the 9s and the 10s that I needed to win the World Championship. And I remember the scores coming up on the board. I ran to my coach, Jane. It was the most overwhelming, exciting experience, and it was so nice to have my mum and Lance there supporting and cheering me. And to think that it's been 8 years since I last won the World Championships, it was so nice to come back from the Olympic Games, the heartbreak and the devastation that I was feeling then, to coming back to being top of the world. And I know I keep talking about it, but I still literally cannot believe it. And I just wanted to thank all of you guys for watching all these videos, because I feel like YouTube is such a great way for me to not just be thinking about diving all the time and being able to make content for you guys. But yeah, I feel so blessed that you watch all these videos. But for now, I wanted to leave you with a compilation of some of my best dives from this year's season. Thanks for watching, guys. It means the world to me. I hope you can subscribe because next year we've got a whole another year of diving season. We've got the Commonwealth Games, another World Series, European Championships. So it's going to be another exciting season, and I'll be back very soon with some more videos.